Hello, happy to be here today with you. This is Michelle Barr, and I want to talk to you today about answering your calling. This is something that I've written about that I spend some time on in my new book, From Calling to Cash. Hi, welcome, come on in. Answering your calling is what I'm talking about today, and it's something I spend quite a bit of time on, and I have a whole chapter on it in my new book, From Calling to Cash. Turn your life's calling into a profitable business you love. It all starts with answering your calling. And so I really take you back to the very beginning, because here's what I see all the time. And I've had my business now for over 10 years. And what I'm always seeing is people who say, I need to know my purpose. They don't know how to get started. They said they can't get started until they know. And then they even step in and say, okay, I'm going to build a business. Okay, I'm going to do this thing. Hi, it's great to see you. Come on in. And yet they're not doing it and they're not getting started. And of course, I made many of those same stumbles. And now that I'm 10, 12 years down the road, I can turn back and I can tell you without a doubt these things that will help you answer your calling and live your life purpose. Because when we're fully living our life purpose, everything in our life works better. Everything. I've been married for 28 years now. And yet, once I started living my purpose and fulfilling my purpose, my marriage grew, my children healed, they lived better lives. I healed things with my parents and my siblings. So many things changed. Plus, the abundance in my life, the happiness, the joy. So I want you to really understand, I've always been a healer. Intrinsically, I am a healer. So you could say it's part of my life purpose. And I also talk about in my book, From Calling to Cash, how I've looked at numerology and astrology and human design and hand analysis and all these different tools that really have helped me to identify more and my purpose. And they're all great tools. I've always known I was a healer, but it took many years to understand what that was and to step into it. And when I was living out of what I call my wounding instead of living out of my power, it translated as trying to save and rescue. Yes, I'm this healer. I need to help people. Let me try to help people that didn't ask for my help and aren't paying me for my help. And I know a lot of healers can relate to this. I had codependency issues. I had a very toxic marriage to an addict, and we rode that cycle really hard. I talk about all of this in my book because it's so important. And it's important to the message that I'm sharing with you here today. And part of that is there's a choice point in every moment, and I'm going to talk about that. And every decision I made affected the trajectory of my life, which affected me living my life purpose. There's a choice point in every moment. And every single thing you do is either moving you toward or away from what you want. This is a universal guiding principle. This is huge. And once you get it, you'll get so much. So I really want you to get this. The other thing is taking action, because it's a piece of manifesting in the law of attraction that people miss. So when you're sitting saying, once I know my life purpose, then I'll take action. Once I know my purpose. And people are literally waiting for someone to come in and say, you're supposed to show up here and do X, Y, Z. And that's not how it works. And that's what I want to talk to you about. Every year, I've grown more and more, grown and evolved into my life purpose. My world has grown. My life has grown. My abundance has grown. So for everyone who's just sitting there waiting, I'm speaking to you today. And I'm speaking to you healers today because you think you're waiting for something to happen and then you'll do what you're called to do and you'll be what you're visioning you are and you'll have what you desire and feel that you deserve, that you want in this world. And it's actually backwards. It's backwards. I encourage you to get my book, From Calling to Cash, and read about all of this to help you. And today we're talking about answering your calling. And I'm going to give you some examples for those points that I just told you that are so important. I've always been a healer. And there again, back when things were toxic in my life, I didn't know who I was. I was running everything by default, just living my life by default and running on my wounding. I would try to save and rescue people, and then I would get frustrated and disappointed and angry and upset. And I didn't have an outlet for all this inside of me. And once my intuition and my energy opened up to spirit, I had a spiritual awakening early on when I was 25 years old. Then even more, I could touch that life purpose. I could touch that calling, but I didn't know what to do with it. And so first, as I told you, I acted it out in a lot of ways that didn't help me. And I had to get clear and I had to heal my own crap. I had to learn to deal with what was coming up so that I could answer my calling and live my purpose and be this healer. And then be the healer in all different ways, because there again, the universe is always putting opportunities in front of you, always putting breadcrumbs in front of you. And it's for you to see them, to learn to actually see the opportunities, to learn to follow the breadcrumbs. And we don't always, again, we're waiting for something to show up and then we'll do it. When you receive through action, that's universal law, that's law of attraction, that's manifestation. You receive through action. It's a huge one I didn't get for so long. So I have learned to say yes, to step into opportunities, to see the breadcrumbs and follow them, and that has accelerated my path. Once I had the spiritual awakening, which caused me to have to really get into my own crap and clear, heal, and resolve my own stuff that kept coming up around all this, the universe and spirit are bringing this up. Because here's how it works. You ask for what you want. You send your desire out there. The universe says, ask and it is given. That is universal law. You will always get what you ask for. First, we have to show you what needs to be cleared, healed, and resolved, what is in the way. And that is the way to answering your calling and living your life purpose. So here I was taking a deep dive. I was called to look at my life, look at my marriage, look at all my inner stuff coming up, look at what I was acting out from my wounding. And once I opened up to my intuition and to energy and all of those pieces, thank you for the hearts and the love, it made me even more aware. It made me even more wanting to step into what I was feeling inside of me. This is a journey that's not for the faint of heart. The payoffs are out of this world. It will repay you like nothing else. Yet in the beginning, it can feel uncomfortable and messy. And even the opportunities and breadcrumbs when they're first showing up, because you're still working through, oh, here's what needs to be cleared, healed, and resolved. In order for me to have what I want, it appears inconvenient and uncomfortable and seems illogical. And yet I can tell you 12 years down the road and 20 years down the road, I have learned when you follow the breadcrumbs and step into the opportunities, it works. I had this calling. I changed my life. I knew I was a healer. The spiritual awakening got me to actually be willing to look at what I needed to clear, heal, and resolve to move forward in my life. And it changed everything. And that's what I want you to really get. Hi, it's great to see you. Come on in. I'm glad you're here. It's every moment, every choice point in every moment. Things like leaving my marriage, taking my 2-year-old and leaving the town where my whole family lived and moving somewhere else where I ended up having opportunities and teachers and mentors and experiences cracked me wide open, had a spiritual awakening, stepped into this healer and this intuitive that I am, because when you're born with it and when you're born as an empath and an intuitive, you just think that's the way everybody operates and that's the way everybody's wired until sometime when you realize no, and then you end up with, I'm so different, I don't fit in, all those things that come up. Had I not said, I will leave my hometown and my family and my marriage and I will go where I'm being called, it was illogical. And how would I do it? But I've learned to leave the hows to the universe. Those of you in my world and that follow me know that I will leap when Spirit says leap because I trust. But that first one, a 25-year-old that's going to become a single mother with a 2-year-old leaving where her whole family is, I knew I had to. The spiritual awakening happened. I met my husband that I've now been married to 28 years. We had 2 more children. So now I have 3 amazing children, and all of it opened up. And I started on this path as healer. And even then, I want you to understand, Spirit does not say, here is your life purpose. Go here, show up here, and XYZ. It unfolds, it evolves and grows, and it unfolds and evolves and grows as much as you are willing to. That's key. I could have stopped anywhere along the way. There were times I created a life that was comfortable, convenient, kept everybody else happy. I really want you to get this. Comfortable, convenient, kept everybody else happy. And I could have stayed there. It's a good life. Things are good. But no. I needed and wanted to evolve and grow into that full, highest potential of myself and have my best life, and the two go hand in hand. I started from my spiritual awakening, being called as a healer to a very traditional route. And this is something else I see all the time. People come to me and they're healers and they're spiritual teachers, and they're doing it in very traditional ways. For me, that was go to graduate school, get a master's in counseling, get a license, become a therapist. And I did that for some years. And every piece of that led me to where I am now, including realizing I couldn't do the real work that I know works and that I'm here to do with a license. And I got rid of that license and I kept moving forward. Then my spiritual growth continued, and I really needed to minister to the spiritual part of this in every personal crisis. No matter what you believe about God, it is a spiritual crisis and a crisis of meaning. So I was called to seminary. I went to interfaith seminary. I became a minister. I became a hospital chaplain. You see how these are all healer. First, trying to save and rescue people that didn't ask me to and didn't pay for it. Then making it into a vocation, being a therapist. Then becoming a hospital chaplain. All along the way, these are all part of my life purpose. I can tell you I'm living my life purpose more fully and benefiting from that more fully now than I ever have, even 2 years ago, because I'm willing to grow and evolve. Because I was willing not to just stay where it was comfortable, convenient, kept everybody happy, everything's logical, and even things like, well, other people would be so happy to have what I have. This journey continues. All of it is living my life purpose and answering that calling. And it's a journey. Yes, there are destinations, but it is a journey, and I wouldn't trade any of that journey. So then the traditional routes and all roads leading to me living my purpose more and more. included clearing, healing, and resolving my crap and my stuff that came up at every level and every time I set out to up level, and clarifying and getting clearer and clearer on who I say I am, what I say I do, and who I say I'm here to serve, which are 3 questions that I work through with all my clients, and I talk about them in my book, From Calling to Cash. You can be answering your calling and living your life purpose along the way, and you can choose to stop and stay where you are, or you can choose to keep going and grow and evolve and live that best life and fulfill yourself more. I could always tell when I was stagnant and stuck, even when it appeared like things were more amazing than they had been and things were better and better. My spiritual freedom is my number 1 core value, my spiritual freedom. And for me, that includes then creating financial freedom. And I had a lot of money crap I had to clean up to fulfill my purpose and how it always works. You're your own first client. So I had to clear it up because later people came to me to work it out. And you could have never told me 10 years ago, a decade ago, that I would be talking to people about business and money. It just wasn't in my world. I wasn't good at it. I had beliefs about it. Hi, it's great to see you. I'm so glad you're here. So think about that. You have no idea if you continue to grow and evolve what is waiting for you. You could not have told me I would write a book where I'm talking about spirituality, business, and money all in the same breath. Spirituality, yes. Business, no. Money, no. And now that is a part of my life purpose and my calling. I had to keep going. I had to work through things to get there. And remember what I said to you at the beginning of this, that I really want you to get every decision I made affected the trajectory of my life. It's not separate. Over here's my money, my business, my work, and here's my life, leaving a toxic marriage, moving to somewhere away from my family, doing all these things, all the decisions I make now. Yes, Tracy, and talking to the dead. Yes, I will get to that. Every decision you make moves you either toward or away what you say you want. You're never neutral. You're always moving either toward or away. So quit making unconscious decisions and choices and make them conscious. Take 100% responsibility. Work your way toward taking 100% responsibility for your life and everything in it. Follow the breadcrumbs, see the opportunities. Know at first they're going to feel inconvenient and uncomfortable and illogical, and they're not always going to make other people happy. And that's where a lot of people stop. So let that land. That was a big one I had to work through. I have a husband who didn't necessarily sign up for this ride. We've been married now 28 years. I have children. When I started my business, they were still in my home. I'm in a community, all of those things. I have family that doesn't quite know that thing you do, whatever it is you do. All of those things, even friends along the way, even people, other people are very invested in you staying the same. And this is not a journey about you staying the same. Can you stop anywhere along the way and live your life purpose? Yes, I could have been a therapist forever. I was a good therapist. Could I have been a hospital chaplain for years? Yes, and I served in the church. I was a wedding minister. I could have done that and created a life. But the world and the universe and spirit are always about more life, and there's always more life available to you, and it's your choice. And so I have a story about what Tracy just mentioned, and it's true. 2 years ago, I'm sitting in a business that's bigger than ever. Everything is amazing. Everything is open for me. People would say, she's there. She's got it. She's living her purpose. Things are going great. The past 2 years, I was completely sold out all year long in private clients. As soon as I would finish with some, others would come in. I rolled out new programs. I was on a multi-city speaking tour with my first book. A lot of great things. But my soul told me there was something I had been saying no to for 10 years. And it was knocking at the door. And that was mediumship, specifically platform mediumship. And I was afraid, oh my gosh, if I bring that into the mix and I've got all this going on, it's going to take my time, my energy, my resources, my money. But once I said yes to it 2 years ago, we're coming up on exactly 2 years. Everything in my life got better because this is what I'm telling you. Every choice you make affects all of it. So instead of it pulling away from, hi, it's great to see you, instead of it pulling away from, which would be the logical thing, it enhanced. When people say, I have coaches who are a few steps ahead of me, and I'm always hiring coaches a few steps ahead of me, and they would say to me, oh, it gets so much easier. You know, making $1 million is easier than making 100,000. I used to get really mad when they'd say that. And then all of a sudden, last year and this year, I have been able to say, this is so easy. This is easier than it's ever been because I stepped again into embracing from a soul level what my soul requires and desires. I listened to spirit, I honored my soul, and I brought in that next piece. And I didn't know, leave the house to the universe. I didn't know 2 years ago. I'm still not completely clear on how it's going to fit. I just knew I had to do it. Money came in from unexpected sources. My programs, my clients filled up. It was easier than it's ever been. And I want to tell you this, and you can get a little mad like I did at my coaches, and I didn't want to believe it. And now I can tell you it's easier. The more you are aligned to what your soul desires and requires. I have traveled all over this year more than ever. You would think, my gosh, that's going to take time away from home and money and resources, and you're running your business. And I just wrote my second book and published it in June. I'm telling you, it's true. And if you choose to believe it, it's here for you. Wherever you are, if you feel like you haven't even answered your calling, if you feel like you're just starting to find your calling, if you're in some way of living out your life purpose and calling, but you know there's more, those are all places on the journey. This is truly the hero's journey and the entrepreneurial hero's journey. And it goes on and on and on. I have no idea what's next for me. I have no idea. I didn't fully know I was writing this book this year until Spirit came knocking and said the book's got to happen now, and then put an opportunity in front of me. And I want you to get this. The opportunity that showed up, perfect match. Perfect match for what I said I needed. A clear ask from the universe to get my book written. And at the same time, it was a very expensive opportunity. That happens. Both of those can happen. People can show up and help. Opportunities can be presented. Remember, I said they might be inconvenient, uncomfortable, seem illogical, and the book has just already been working for me in my business so well. And next year, I will go out on a speaking tour with my new book, and I'll be serving people in different ways. I didn't know all that ahead of time. I had to keep stepping in opportunities, breadcrumbs. I encourage you to get my book, From Calling to Cash. And if you go to find me on Facebook, or if you go to Amazon and find it, you'll see I've left it at the 99-cent price, and you get to come into my free private Facebook group book study where we're working through it together. But get the book, From Calling to Cash. So here we are today talking about answering your calling and your life purpose, and the key things that I've been wanting to tell you about with this. I was just scrolling because I had something I wanted to make sure from the book that I did not miss. So the key points: there's a choice point in every moment, basic universal law, basic universal guiding principles. You are making choices and decisions in every moment. A decision has not been made until an action has been taken. And it is only through an aligned action, an inspired action, that we receive in the receiving part of manifesting. Everything you do is moving you either toward or away from what you want. So every decision I made all along the way affected all of it. I could not be here now where I am if I had not made that decision to leave my hometown and leave my family and do something that seemed uncomfortable, inconvenient, illogical, become a single mother with a 2-year-old child, and then leave my support system and go where I was being called to go. And yet I had to do it. And when I got there, Spirit had lined up my husband waiting in the wings that we met. But before that, a spiritual awakening, and teachers and mentors and coaches and life lessons and amazing opportunities for me to start being this healer and this spiritual teacher. And then to end up in that traditional route, first going into graduate school and becoming a therapist, every one of those choices along the way. And I have choices. If you've ever done a timeline for yourself, I can show you every choice and every consequence, and I can take you to what I have now and show you if I had done one thing differently early on years ago, and then just a few years ago, and then last week, I wouldn't be where I am right now. No, when you're open like this and you are called and you want to answer your calling and there's a life purpose, it can grow and unfold to heights you cannot even imagine. It's amazing. And I give you some of that guidance and some of those tools in my book, From Calling to Cash, and also in working with my clients. I'd love to be that resource for you. I'd love to be that support for you. If you're just getting on here, once I'm done here, you'll be able to go back and watch this in full and get these key points that I give you that are these gold nuggets that you can take and use today, no matter what you do. And my coach's challenge and urging to you, I urge and encourage you, is to start paying attention to those choice points and those choice point moments. And look at a choice you need to make or a decision you need to make. And you might have even said, oh, I've made the decision. But have you taken the aligned, inspired action? If not, you haven't made the decision and you can't receive what you've decided to receive without the action. Take one of these moments and make a choice and take an action. And specifically around answering your calling and your life purpose. And then also really look at where you are in this. There's something that's presenting itself right now that's inconvenient, illogical, uncomfortable, and that's the thing you absolutely must do. I promise you. You don't have to, but you must. And I would encourage you to. I never ask anyone, my clients, students, community, to do anything that I haven't already done. And now I can tell you from the other side of this over and over again Those of you who know me better and know what I've been doing the past 2 years stretched and grew me like nothing else. The most terrifying thing I've ever done. And people could have said, well, why do that? You had this big successful business. You're full of clients. You're traveling and speaking. You have a book. Look what you're doing. Why would you do this? And I asked myself the same things. I had a lot of come to Jesus meetings with Spirit and with my soul, and I had a lot of talks. But once I stepped in, I'm telling you, it was the next step in answering my calling and my life purpose. And it's another piece. It's a tapestry. And it's the next thread I'm weaving through the tapestry, which makes the whole better and brighter and bigger and makes my whole life more abundant. I want to keep telling you this over and over again because it's so key. If you are saying yes now, if you are learning to see the opportunities that are showing up in answer to what you're asking for, and you say yes and you step in, you can bust those limiting beliefs that are holding you back. You can face your fears and you can watch them fall away. I did these things and I transformed on every level, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And to wrap up, I want you to understand, yes, there's a calling inside of you. And some people will never even answer theirs. Some people will never even look at their life purpose. So you're steps ahead of them. You have a life purpose. It's not going to drop on you like XYZ and then do that forever. Show up here and do this. That's not the way it works. There are different stages, and you can move through the stages or you can stay in place, but your life will abundantly heal and grow bigger and more abundant on every level the more you do it. The more you do it. So realizing, I started this whole talk, and I'll come back to that by saying so many people come to me and they can't get started until they know. And the paradox is you won't know until you get started. Your first clients teach you what you're here to sell. I never would have been able to tell you I even wanted what I have now. You step in, you start living whatever version, whatever essence of your life purpose is presenting itself now, and then you go as far as you want to go. If you read chapter 2, Answering Your Calling, in my book, From Calling to Cash, and then use the whole book, there are plenty of tools. It's an energetic activation. It gives you so many resources once you're inside. But that's what it is. I want people, above all, when I started this Facebook Live today, to understand there's no, here's your life purpose, ta-da, and that's all there is. And then I can't start it until I know and have everything. You're living it. This is your journey. You're never not on your path. And that's hard for people to understand too. This is your journey in your life. There's a choice point in every moment. You're creating your life as you're living it, and every choice you make affects the trajectory of your life, which affects everything you receive based on the actions you take. I want you to get that, and thank you so much. You can find me anytime at FromCallingToCash.com. You can find me on Facebook at Michelle B. Barr. /Michelle B. Barr, or just find me at Michelle Barr. Connect with me. Connect with my book. Connect with me live. I would love to talk to you. I'm going to be coming back with more lives from all the different chapters of my book. Thank you so much for showing up today. Go back and watch this again. Really absorb what I'm bringing to you and let it land, and take the golden nuggets today that are here for you. Have a great day. Bye.